How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and I get it. You're thinking about making the move to Denver, but you're not quite certain what area of town you should live in. Well, today I'm here to give you the most popular places to live in Denver, starting right now. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett, and listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons, living in or around Denver, Colorado, then this is a channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon popping up on your screen, especially if this is your first time visiting, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you on that very topic each and every week. And as much as I love getting a little creative here on camera and hopefully entertaining, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of Denver's most talented realtors. And we're helping people make that move here each and every day. So that number and email popping up on your screen, I'm always the person answering your phone calls, answering your texts, answering your emails, there when and if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is one of the most popular places to live in Denver. All right, so listen, as I've mentioned before, if I was going to cover all of the most popular places to live in Denver in one video, we'd be here for either a long period of time or you would stop watching because, oh man, that's just too long. Hopefully we won't do either of those things. So we're gonna take it geographically in chunks, and today we're gonna cover the suburbs west of Denver, all within a 30-minute drive tops of the city, all of which I think you're gonna love, or else I wouldn't talk about them. And in each one, we're gonna give you some basics. We're gonna give you, is it a seller's or buyer's market if you're thinking about buying a home? How much are homes or condos selling for? How much are homes or condos renting for? What are schools like? And then what is it just like to live in that community? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? So area number one, and one of my favorites, is Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Located due west of Denver, about 15 minutes, honestly, from the border, and maybe the border of Denver, that is, and roughly 20 minutes from downtown. Wheat Ridge grows and grows in popularity. Not a huge community, but definitely one that we're gonna wanna talk about. So from a market action index, a 0 being a buyer's market, 100 being a seller's market, Wheat Ridge currently sits at a 65. All of these areas you're gonna hear about used to be in the 90s before things started going haywire, but it's gotten a little better for buyers. So for people thinking about buying a house, median home sale in Wheat Ridge for a detached home was sitting at $740,000. Condos were sitting at $262,000. Take note of that. It's one of the most affordable communities for condos that you're gonna find in Denver. Same thing goes for renters. Detached homes in Wheat Ridge rented for a median, of $2,250 a month. Rent for a condo, $1,800 for condos and apartments. Again, by Denver standards, pretty solid, especially when we talk about that area. We always want to touch on schools. Niche.com has Wheat Ridge as a B+ as far as schools. It's part of Jefferson County School District. And at the end of the day, I mean, Jefferson County Schools created me, so take that as a positive or negative, however you feel. But the reason I include Wheat Ridge here, I mean, among other things, affordability, location, is, well, location. Wheat Ridge is in a very sweet spot. It wasn't always something that you would think of, but Wheat Ridge is right next to great areas like Sloan's Lake, Edgewater, Highlands, areas that are very popular night spots, restaurants, bars, cafes, walkability, all of that stuff. And then Wheat Ridge has its own vibe. 38th Avenue, very popular stretch, filled with different places to visit, a lot of different independently owned businesses. You have basically everything you need along 38, and it has some really cool parks as well. Wheat Ridge is just a very, very cool community. Wasn't as cool when I was a kid, I'll admit it. We kind of shunned Wheat Ridge a little bit. We didn't know any better. We were like 12, what do you know? But now, man, one of the top areas that I would encourage anybody to take a peek at. Area number 2 on our list, and honestly, if I have the opportunity, I will probably live there at some point in my life, and that is Golden, Colorado. Golden, located up 6th Avenue, about 20 to 25 minutes west of Denver. Again, one of those straight shots. Golden does stretch a little bit, so parts of Golden will be 35 minutes away from Denver. But Golden is your quintessential mountain town that's still close enough to the city. It's just a great place to check out. The market action index in Golden sitting at 66. This is gonna be kind of reoccurring. You're gonna hear a lot of places have shifted from being just all sellers to somewhat of a buyer's market. Now, when I tell you home prices in Golden don't panic for me, because there are parts of Golden that have ridiculously expensive and just amazing homes selling for multi-millions of dollars. So when I tell you that the median home price for a detached family home was 1.1 million, understand that Golden is not cheap, but that is skewed a bit by some of these mansions and these beautiful homes that you're going to see. Golden is definitely a premium though, no question. It's going to be on the pricier end of what you're going to see. Condos and apartments for sale in Golden, median price was sitting at $537,000. And then if you're looking at median rents, to rent a house was sitting at $2,650, to rent an apartment or a condo was sitting at $2,200. You're going to see, especially in some of the B-roll we have, Golden has one of the coolest downtown areas, and that's where a lot of these condos and apartments are. It's an extremely popular place, especially for young professionals. We're seeing more and more of those. Not to say that that's the only people moving there, but it's getting more and more popular in that downtown area because of that. Niche.com rates Golden an A- for schools. It is also Jefferson County School District. And little fun fact that I really enjoy, Golden High School is the oldest high school in the state of Colorado. And as far as lifestyle, in my humble opinion, it's tough to beat Golden. So Washington Avenue, their downtown strip, just one of the most walkable, enjoyable areas to spend time around, especially, on a warm, sunny day. You can get down there in the winter if you want to, but Washington Avenue is just cool. It's got some great restaurants, bars. It's got some great restaurants, some great bars. It's got a really cool music venue down there. Great place to check out. Golden also runs along Clear Creek Canyon. So you're gonna see all throughout the summer along these parks, people will take inner tubes. One of my favorite things to do when I remember to do it is grab an inner tube, grab your friends, you drive up the canyon a little bit. You need 2 vehicles for this, but you drive up the canyon a little bit, jump on your inner tube, cruise it down, get into somebody else's vehicle, drive back up. You just keep rotating, bring some pops with you, some summer shandies. One of the best things to do in summer. And Golden gives you a great mix. You're in the mountains, it stretches up, you start heading up towards Boulder, or you're really close to Denver, so you have the benefits of both worlds. Plenty of outdoor activities, hiking, biking, camping, all of those things. Number 3 on our list is gonna be a bit of a niche, and that is Morrison, Colorado. Now Morrison, if you look at the population, it's extremely small. I think less than 1,000 people actually live in the town of Morrison. So when we talk about Morrison, we're not just talking about the strip itself. We're talking about areas, communities, including Lakewood, parts of Golden, that are very close to Morrison so that you get that feel. So the market action index in Morrison sits at 72. For condos and apartments, it sits at 22. And I want to be very clear on why. There just aren't a lot of apartments and condos in Morrison. It's not that market. Like I said, it's a very small town. That's not to say that you can't find those type of amenities just on the outskirts, and that's what we're gonna focus on. Morrison is the type of town that if you're within 5-10 minutes of it, you're really going to enjoy. You don't necessarily have to live in the city. That's just kind of the center. That's why I'm adding it to this list. Median home prices, detached homes sat at $770,000. Condos, apartments sat at $500,000 in Morrison. Again, condos being on a premium, not very many of them to be had. Median rents sat at $2,750 for a detached home, $1,750 for those apartments. And Niche.com rated Morrison as an A- as far as schools. Again, also part of Jefferson County School District. You're gonna see that on the west side of Denver. Everything, for the most part, is gonna be Jefferson County schools. Now, when you talk about lifestyle of Morrison, and this is where I say Morrison is going to be a niche type of community. You're either gonna really like it or you're gonna be like, this isn't my thing. Morrison, kind of that small town. You're not really mountain town because you're 15-20 minutes from Denver, maybe 25 on the extreme side, but it's got your one strip. It's got some really cool, nice bars, restaurants to go and visit. And Morrison is also home to Red Rocks Amphitheater, one of the, if not the greatest outdoor amphitheaters in the entire world. It is world renowned. You have some of the most amazing bands coming to play there, amazing shows. They've got Movie on the Rocks if you want to go see a movie. So you have Red Rocks right there. One of our favorite things is to go out to Morrison, go see a show, hang out at Red Rocks, and then come back down to Morrison, maybe grab a couple pops, aka drinks, before we go home. Morrison is extremely popular for that. And you're at the gateway of the Rockies. You are on the Front Range. So you're just there's 2 roads coming out of Morrison. Both of them lead right into the mountains. You are in between canyons within seconds. So if you're a big mountain person, being near Morrison or in Morrison is going to be definitely a place you're gonna wanna check out. Now, if being mountain-ish is not good enough for you, then you need to check out area number 4, and that is Evergreen, Colorado. Now, when I say that Morrison is going to be niche, Evergreen probably more so, because Evergreen is definitely, now you are in the mountains. You are past that front range into the hills. And Evergreen, to me, is that quintessential mountain town. It's got one lane going each way through their downtown. Their downtown has these rustic old buildings, been there forever. They've got, these bars that have been there with music and cafes, people walking up and down these roads. And then as you end that road heading out of Evergreen, you hit Evergreen Lake, this big lake right between these mountains. It is just one of the most gorgeous things you're ever going to see. You're definitely seeing B-roll of it right now. Evergreen is going to be extremely popular for that beauty. Now, the market action index for Evergreen sits at 67. It's never, honestly, compared to the rest of the market, been that high because Evergreen is very specific. Some people are going to be all about wanting to live there, and some people are going to say, nope, I'm not ready to be that far away from the city, that far away from town. It's a 30 to call it 40-minute drive from Denver, but you feel like you're out there, no question. When you get to Evergreen, you don't feel like you're anywhere near Denver. You can't see the city. You are tucked into the mountains. And similar to Golden, Evergreen has some really high-priced homes. There are some gorgeous places, especially if you drive down Old Bear Creek Road. Oh my God, I'd love. So your median detached home price sits at $1.1 million. That gets skewed obviously by those pricey homes on the high end. And then you're sitting at $625,000 for condos. For rent, and I had to double check this, rents seem to be the same median. $2,800 for a house, $2,800 for a condo. What I realize, or apartment I should say, what I realize is that a lot of that is location based. You're able to get apartments or condos that are closer to downtown, which is where that one strip road that I talked about, where people really like to be close to, whereas a lot of the homes that are for rent tend to be a little farther from town. I don't know, if you can get a house or an apartment for the same price, I'll let you make that decision. Schools, call me a broken record. Niche.com rates it an A-. Jefferson County Schools, I don't know. I can't genuinely tell you why some get an A-, some get a B+. Obviously, the school you actually go to in that area is different, but blame it on the county. And we've kind of hit on lifestyle in Evergreen. It's not going to be for everybody. I know it has very much a love-hate relationship with people who are thinking about moving up to the mountains. You're not super close to Denver in a way that, like I said, can you get to Denver in 30 to 45 minutes? Yes, you can, but you're gonna feel a little distant, and your drive home isn't, or your Uber ride home isn't going to be the easiest. So getting down to the city might be a little more challenging. But if you're into mountain living, if you're into that small town vibe, if you love the idea of a really cool, that one lane downtown and just a community that all knows each other with a beautiful lake to boot, then Evergreen is going to be a place that you want to check out. And I'll be honest, even if it doesn't matter where you live, if you live on the east side of Denver, or excuse me, the west side of Denver, I'm a Navy guy, I should know my directions. If you're living on the west side of Denver, you want to shoot up to Evergreen every now and again and just hang out. It's a beautiful town, even if you don't want to live there. And then number 5, because I just can't leave it out, hell, it's where I live, and that's Lakewood, Colorado. Yes, I am a homer, but Lakewood is one of the most popular areas to live in Denver. I'm kind of proud of that because that's not always been the case, and it shows in the market action index. So Lakewood still sits at an 88 as far as sellers versus buyers. It's still very much a seller's market and still very much a desired location. Now, the one thing about Lakewood, as opposed to really any of the other 4 communities I covered, is that Lakewood geographically is big. There's a lot of area. So you have parts of Lakewood that are right next to Denver, right on the border. You have parts of Lakewood that are out on the front range, and everything in between. So your prices, your different living situations and scenarios are gonna vary. Lakewood really caters to who you are and what part of town you wanna live in. So median home prices. For a detached home selling in Lakewood, was sitting at $700,000. Median condo and apartment prices were sitting at $390,000. Rents, I would say somewhat affordable. $2,300 for a detached home, $1,900 for an apartment. I can't emphasize enough, Lakewood being as big as it is, that's gonna be very location specific. I live not too far from a community called Belmar, where everything's gonna be more expensive because of how walkable it is and how popular that area is. But there's also areas of Lakewood where things get much more affordable, and that's not to say that you're living in a terrible area. You may just have a drive or a farther walk to get to the things that you wanna do. Niche.com gives us an A- as far as schools. I'll take credit for that, even though my parents would have loved if I had gotten A- ever in school. And then as far as lifestyle, I'll always say it. Lakewood, I believe, is one of the most versatile places in Colorado and in Denver, certainly, to live, because you're very close to the mountains. I can be there in 15 minutes. I can be downtown in 15 minutes. There's a lot of different amenities within Lakewood. It wasn't a planned development like you'll see in some areas. They didn't really think through linking trails and all of this stuff, but there's plenty to do. You're close to everything, and it genuinely, in my humble opinion, caters to what type of lifestyle you want to lead. And just think, that is the west side of Denver. So if you want to talk about some other areas, that's a perfect excuse to give me a call. That phone number and email popping up on your screen. I'm always the person answering your phone calls, answering your texts, answering your emails, there when and if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I am your host, Jimmy Everett. That was the most popular places to live in Denver, West Suburb Edition. Until I see you next time, peace.